So, congratulations on this short. It
Thank
is very impactful.
thank you.
It's very moving. It's an incredible story. How did you first find out about this story?
Well, it was inspired by my grandmother's life. And my both my grandparents were Mashhadi Jews. And throughout my life, the family kind of law was that they were secret Jews and they had fake names and they pretended to be Muslim. And my grandfather learnt the Quran and went to a Muslim school, and his real name was Samuel, but his Islamic name was Nasrullah Farajullah. So I knew these little pieces, but I didn't really kind of do a deep dive on it until recently, and then just realized what an incredible story it was, and the risk it was of being lost.
Mhm.
Because it's not really documented anywhere. They were kind of an undocumented people. They didn't have birth certificates. They weren't really regarded as citizens. So I felt a kind of duty just to preserve this sort of lost history, really.
Um, at a certain point in the short, it it becomes very daunting. It's very heavy. Um, for you, going into this story and diving into some of these bit more uncomfortable parts, how did that feel? How did that impact you, having it be your family?
I was so emotional. Well, I was directing. It was the first time I was directing, so you have to keep it together. But I guess because I am an actor, every time the actors would reach an emotional place, I would really feel it. And the shoot was only 3 days, but at the end of each day, I was like, um, I was really just spent because yeah, I can obviously I was just connecting to the material in a very personal way, but also um the whole crew and the whole cast, like every at the end of the film, we dedicate it to all of our grandmothers, so all the
Mhm.
grandmothers from the crew, the cast and the crew, and we kind of honored them every morning. We would just have a moment where we would just think about our ancestors and wherever they came from, or the stories that they have never been had the opportunity to tell. And so it was deeply personal for me, but hopefully it was really personal for everyone, and I think everyone felt the weight of that.
Um, this is a short, but I'm sure there's plenty of stories that you can tell from your grandmother's life. Is there any hope in getting more from this? Because it's not just historical, but once again, it's very personal to you and very touching. And I think for me, it's also extremely moving and heartwarming to see
Thank you.
so much that our history, so much of our history that's not told that you're bringing out in this short.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to explore.
Mhm.
I'm definitely open to telling it in a longer form way. What was really interesting is when I was researching is that there was just so little
Mhm.
that were recorded. The Mashhadi Jews are one of the so Mashhad is a place in the northeastern part of Iran, and this is where the for about 200 years the Jewish community lived in secret. And my place that I research a lot of my projects is the British Library in London, and I was dying to get to the British Library to find out as much as I could. And when I got there, I was really shocked that there was only sort of two or three items that weren't that revealing. And the more I learned about this group, the more I realized that, they are the least assimilated ethnic Jewish group. So not only would a lot of them escape to Palestine as it was then, and America, and stayed in these close-knit communities and were sort of hardwired not to talk, not to share about what had happened, and not to share about who they were to other people. And so not only would they not marry, Jewish Americans, but they wouldn't even marry Jewish other Iranians from outside Mashhad. So getting the actual testimonies, I went to Great Neck in New York where there's a big Mashhadi community, and luckily my aunt Sarah Solemani is very respected in that community, and she took me there, um and I recorded these people who were in their 80s and 90s, just to have their testimonies and the things that they remembered. One of them remembers a pogrom, remembers a mullah kind of calling for the death to the Jews, and it being on a like a holy night, hiding on a roof, getting typhoid, not being able to see a doctor. So all this story that isn't sort of documented anywhere, but is just in sort of the lived memory of these people. So there's definitely a lot to explore in a longer form.
Definitely. And we have a lot of these oral histories from people who are afraid to speak or are going to be persecuted for speaking. What is it like to give a voice to so many people who deserve to have their story told?
So what was the last bit of your question?
What is it like for you to give a voice to people?
It's a huge honor. It's a huge privilege. The fact that my grandmother and grandfather were raised in a ghetto in Iran, with the threat of death constantly over their heads, and that they made their way to Palestine. They lived all sort of all around India. My dad was born in India, and then they ended up in London. And my dad went to university and married my mother, who was a Northern Irish English atheist, and had me, and I ended up in Hollywood. Like, I'm just so random that I exist, and that I could have these resources and have this incredible support from Reboot, who are the studios that made the film with me, and Adriana and Noam, the producers, and Christina, the DP. All these incredible practitioners in film helped make this story, and it was not lost on me. Every beat of the process was just what an incredible privilege it was to be able to tell the story.
And for this being your first directorial, it is amazing the way you combine the animation with the live action. It is beautifully put out there. How did that decision come about to tell the story in that manner?
We had the film, we shot the film, we edited the film, and then Noam, the producer, was like, I think it was his idea. He said, I think we need to kind of explain the history, because there's quite a lot to process in under 20 minutes. So he knew this fantastic artist, and illustrator, Stevens, and he created this beautiful montage. And a lot of the photographs that are in the montage are my real family, are my ancestors and Mashhadi Jews. And it just sort of set the tone and set the scene on this kind of hidden world that the audience are taking you through.
Mhm. Now you're bringing this to film festivals. What reactions are you hoping to get when people view this?
I'm really curious about people's reactions. I don't know if it's the best time to tell a story about Jews in the Middle East or the worst time to tell the stories about Jews in the Middle East. What I've realized is that people do often come with their very strong feelings and very strong opinions. Um, and I think any artist or filmmaker, your only goal is to tell the story, honor the story. And if it expands anyone's mind, like I don't think people not knew about the way the Jewish people of Mashhad were treated. They were essentially ethnically cleansed from their hometown. There are no Jews living there now. Um, if it can broaden or deepen our empathy with conflict, and revive our sense of humanity for everyone involved in the conflict, that would be a win for me. I think the film itself is an exploration of religion as oppression and faith as survival. Um, I can't get my head around why my family, my ancestors, even if the stakes were so high for them to practice their Judaism, they could be killed, and they still lit the candles, and they kept Shabbat, and they kept kosher. And it's very hard being in the West to understand faith in that way as survival. But I think a lot about Islam, and I think a lot about why Islam has become the religion of the dispossessed and what it gives people and how it helps people survive testing circumstances. So it's really, yeah, an exploration of faith as survival, I think.
For me, as I'm watching this, there's a moment which I don't want to spoil because it's an incredible moment, but you really hold your breath for these characters and you're on the edge of your seat. I'm sure you've watched this several times. Does it still hit you in the same manner?
Oh, I'm really glad you said that. Thank you. You're the sort of first audience I've spoken to. You haven't been involved in the project. Um, yeah, it 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 was two things really. Wanted to document the history, but also to sort of have a entertaining, suspenseful story. I'm thrilled that you feel that tension. Yeah, and I I'm it does hit me. It does hit me, the tension and the stress, just the stress of living. I don't say illegally because it was a different kind of there was
Mhm.
a different kind of codes, but living in secret, the pressure, the intensity, the fear, just living in constant fear. I think, sadly, we're still grappling with that. I live in Los Angeles, and people are still grappling with um, the reality that their existence is causing them fear just for being who they are and happening to be in the country that they're in. So I'm glad it hit you in that way. It was intended to, yeah.
And Holly Shorts, how amazing is it to have this be shown in LA? We have such a huge Jewish community here. What is it like for you to have this film in the festival?
Oh, it's just thrilling. It's thrilling. My dad's going to fly over from London, um, and even just the name Mashhad,
Mhm.
like just seeing that in the context of like the Chinese theatre Hollywood that has this iconic Hollywood history, and that it's Farsi speaking, and people are going to be in that theatre and witness this beautiful language and these beautiful actors and this incredible story. It's and just thinking, not just of myself, but in a lineage of my ancestors from that dark place that they were desperate to get out of to Hollywood. It's yeah, the sort of thrill of that is not lost on me.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. It's such a wonderful project. It hit me in a whole different way than I was expecting. And,
Thank you.
congratulations and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you.